What is up, everybody? Welcome into Shout, a Buffalo football podcast live from St. John Fisher University, where Ryan Talbot, we just had a very busy morning practice. The pads aren't on yet. You could start to tell that we're nearing that portion, but a very big development at the end of practice on top of a development at the start of practice. We'll get into all of that today. How are you, my friend?
I'm drying off here a little bit as we speak. It was a pretty wet practice. Rain started pouring down sideways at one point. At that point, I made a beeline for the tunnel because I had a radio spot with WGI right after that anyways.
You do look a little damp. Do you notice anything about myself?
Yeah, you are looking perfectly dry.
Great day to choose. By the way, I did not plan this at all to take in practice from the press box over at St. John Fisher University. So I stayed dry, which is a very good development for me. All right, let's not waste any more time. We got to let you know that we're brought to you by Amtrak, which right now, I mean, you can get a ride anywhere you want in New York State. They have stops in Rochester, Utica, Syracuse, Poughkeepsie, anywhere you want to go in New York State, all the way down to New York City, use Amtrak. It's super comfortable. There's no middle seats, plenty of legroom, plenty of baggage space, free Wi-Fi, anything that you need. They got deals going on all the time. Head over to Amtrak.com. You got any trips coming up in the next couple of months?
You know, not.
You're thinking about going though now, aren't you?
I would love to do that like around Christmas time, going to New York City. Maybe do a little shopping out there for the holidays.
I love where your head's at. All right, so we got to get to this injury. Let's set the stage first, because you get out to the practice field today and you learn that Terrell Bernard, starting middle linebacker, and Curtis Samuel, wide receiver 3, 4, 5, where you want to slide him in, dealing with hamstring injuries. So they're not going to be involved. So the first thing you start to think about is, okay, this is going to provide an opportunity for somebody, number one, but it's also a concerning development, definitely for Bernard, and we'll get to that in a little while. But for Samuel, this just seems like the same story over and over again. We talk about this every year. We give the same kind of heat to Baylon Spector. It's got to be given to Curtis Samuel. He just cannot stay healthy. And so what it ends up doing is providing an opportunity for somebody. And today, that was Tyrell Shavers, and he was taking full advantage of it. I had him down for at least 3 or 4 catches that were super impressive. None more impressive than going up in the red zone and coming down with a touchdown against Maxwell Hairston on the last play of practice. Problem is, he comes down and injures his leg, his foot, his ankle. We don't know the exact injury yet, but it was so bad, Ryan. He got up. He couldn't put weight on it. Trainers were all around him. They ended up bringing the cart to take him off the field. This is a tough development, and it's extra tough because I was writing to our insiders about this. Like, Tyrell Shavers, this is beneficial for him with Curtis Samuel out. He's getting the reps that I think Samuel probably would have gotten with Josh Allen. And now you have to wonder how long he's going to be out for. And does this take away any potential opportunity that he might have had?
Yeah, he was getting some absolute run with the first team so far this summer. And then you take Curtis Samuel out of the equation for who knows how long. You thought this is a golden opportunity for a wide receiver that had a great camp last year and just missed making that 53-man roster. Was having another good practice today, suffers the injury at the end of the practice. You hope that he's okay. We've seen other camps where carts have come out and it's more precautionary, but the fact that he couldn't put weight down on the leg is a major concern. So now we just wait, Matt. We have to wait and see the severity of the injury. Hopefully it's not as serious as it looked or as it could be, because I want to see him being out here competing for that roster spot. The Bills like him a lot. He's always been a priority player for their practice squad, and I wanted to see him try to get and make a run for the 53-man roster.
So we'll see how this all materializes, but in the immediacy of Shavers potentially out for a stretch of time here at least, Samuel with a hamstring, you have to figure that's probably going to be a week at least till he gets back, and probably going to have to work back and work off to the side depending on the severity of that. We'll watch, because AJ Epinesa he hurt his ankle on Friday. He was back at practice today. So sometimes these guys get better quicker. But the thing with Samuel is he missed big chunks last summer. And that's something that I think if you're the Bills, you take a look at, luckily they go out and they bring in Elijah Moore. I think Keon Coleman is having a tremendous training camp. And this is now 3 out of 4 days where he's looked the part of wide receiver 1 from my perspective. And maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic. Every once in a while, we like to throw a little hyperbole on the show, but I want to talk about what this means for the rest of the room, because outside, you have Laviska Shenault, who's been out since the start of training camp with a lower body injury. Now is a guy that I've been kind of talking about a little bit. Does this provide an opportunity for a KJ Hamler? Jalen Virgil, somebody who they've really liked. What do you expect to be the aftermath of this over the next couple of days as pads go on? Who do you think is now positioned for a significant jump up in opportunities?
Well, first and foremost of those names that you mentioned, Elijah Moore, because he was kind of competing for the same role as Curtis Samuel. Now you're going to get a week, most likely, of just Elijah Moore assuming that role. And if he looks good, especially when the pads come on, he could leapfrog Curtis Samuel on this, of their roster projection depth chart. And that's going to really help him out quite a bit too. But then for the depth guys, Jalen Virgil was a player that was elevated a few times last year. You know how much they like him. KJ Hamler spent the entire season on the practice squad. I know he didn't get any elevations last year, but with the opportunities that come his way, this is a golden opportunity for him. Maybe he can show enough as a wide receiver where then they say, you know what, let's try to get him in the mix as well in the kick return, punt return area. The more he can do, the more it will help him out. So yeah, there's definitely some depth players that this gives an opportunity to that probably would not have been there without these injuries.
I'm going to throw something real complicated in here from Brian over on Facebook. Could this be the opportunity that gets the Bills to consider a reunion with Gabe Davis? Here's where I'm going to probably start with no. I'm not ruling it out completely, but I just sat down with Brandon Beane and we talked a little bit about the wide receiver. I don't even want to call it a controversy, but the dust up on WJR a couple months ago. And the big piece that I came away with is thinking that Brandon Beane he believes in this room. He believes in Keon, Josh Palmer, and Khalil Shakir, who, we saw a lot of today in their 11 personnel packages, them out there kind of operating. They trusted Jalen Virgil last year. They brought in Elijah Moore, and I almost don't even consider Moore as like somebody competing for an opportunity. I think he's in the top 4 already, maybe even ahead of Curtis Samuel going into this injury in this day. So I just want to keep that to the side here and just talk about what the 5th wide receiver would look like. I think Hamler they like, Virgil they like, and there's a couple other pieces. We haven't even seen Laviska Shenault, so we don't know the how long term that is. And Samuel's going to get back. So if he's somebody that you consider to still be a part of this thing this season, I just don't know if you pull the trigger on the Gabe Davis thing. I also, if I'm the Bills and I'm watching I think it was an appearance on Kay Adams.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm watching that and saying, man, I got to get Gabe Davis back into the mix.
Right. He said he was open to the idea, but realistically, he wants to go somewhere where the opportunities are going to be more plentiful. And even with these injuries, I can't imagine Gabe Davis jumping up this depth chart. Yes, he knows the system, a lot of the players on that offense, but I just don't think it's the right fit at this time. As you mentioned, they trust Virgil at times last year to come in and play. We know that Samuel's dealing with a hamstring, but most likely a 1-week deal. So the numbers don't work out in terms of the role versus an opportunity that he's probably looking for.
Caden Prather, this could be like on the outside looking in, somebody to maybe make a run of things, but he's also banged up. Did you notice that today?
Yes, I did.
He had kind of like a big wrap on like his right quads or hamstring or something upper leg area. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to take a look at. But who knows? Maybe the Bills will entertain bringing in a wide receiver, but maybe it's not Gabe Davis. We'll figure that out at some point. This has got to be a super fast edition of Shout today. So we got to, rifle through a ton of different observations from, and we'll have more tomorrow on the show as well when we have a little bit more time. I got to get back to Buffalo. But Ed Oliver, I wrote about this just now, and you can read it at the observations. They'll be up a little bit after the show. Every year, there's like a tradition that's been built since the Bills drafted Ed Oliver. There's a practice in the first week of training camp where Ed Oliver just blows up everything and reminds everybody like the heights, the peaks of what Ed Oliver's game is. Today, that was it. Blowing up run plays in the backfield. And the Bills went pretty heavy run game at times in the practice periods today. And then it was the pass rush. There was one rep where he sacks Josh Allen, would be sacked, right? None of them are sacked. They're not in pads. And you can't touch the quarterback. He beats Osiris Torrance with a great first move and then just powers past Connor McGovern, who was trying to kind of slip over and block him. Oliver gets in and they got to blow the play dead. And in those moments, Josh Allen's frustrated, but that's what you want. You want to be facing really good pass rushers, getting those reps for your offensive linemen. Ed Oliver looked like, all right, couple days to get tuned up, and man, it looked like a Ferrari out there today.
He always has those dominant practices, and today was one. The would-be sack on Josh Allen You could tell Allen was frustrated moving about. It also gave the opportunity for Rousseau to kind of come in and cave in. But, this is what you want to see. Ed Oliver is as talented as they come. We've talked all summer about getting him some help on the D-line. We've seen TJ Sanders, Deanne Walker flash, Daquan Jones still in the mix, and that list goes on. So dominant performance today by Ed Oliver. He was one of the few players that looked thrilled when the rain came down too, dancing in the rain, probably knowing how dominant he just was today at practice.
Brandon over on Facebook says he saw me in the Kansas City airport and he should have stopped me and get a picture. Never feel like you can't stop me. Like we see people out at training camp all the time. I love meeting people that like listen to the show, watch the show. I feel like we're this big community, this big family, right? So anytime that you ever see me, whether it's at camp, at a game, on the road, in the airport, him too, stop us. We love to take pictures and just share your experience with the podcast because we really appreciate you listening.
Absolutely. Took tons of pictures at Barbell on Friday night. Was out and about today before practice. Saw my buddy Sal, got a picture with him. Charles' family, who are supporters of the text line and everything else too. So always great to stop, get a picture, talk with Bills fans, and discuss the latest happenings around the team.
All right, let's get to Keon Coleman because on a day where, man, a couple of ominous updates about the wide receiver room, to me, Keon Coleman today against pretty much anybody that they had to throw at him. Now, Taron Johnson didn't practice today. It looked like a vet day maybe. He was on the sideline in his jersey, kind of watching. Joey Bosa, a little bit less than usual. I felt like Keon Coleman was electric. I mean, his footwork was really great. He was, and the most important piece is not just the individual plays, the chemistry that he's showing now with Josh Allen. Like some of the back shoulder work that they did today, Keon Coleman on one, like a 10-yard, put your foot in the ground, turn for a short comeback, and the ball is there, working against Trey White. He had a really successful play there. The highlight of practice, though, down the left sideline, it was an 18-yard touchdown. And, got to have it. It looked like a 2-minute drill. Got to have it kind of play. He's working on the outside against Jamarcus Ingram, which maybe you say that he should have the advantage in that, but you still have to make the play. Right. And so he runs down the left sideline, times it perfectly to make his move on the ball, create a little bit of separation with a bump, but not enough to get a call for a penalty. And then the ball's right there. You got to make the catch. Then you get your feet down in bounds. He does every part of it. Immediately after the play, Josh Allen goes running down the sideline to celebrate. Like those are the moments that build the trust with your quarterback. And I just think that we're seeing now, Josh Palmer getting the crisp route running that we're seeing on the daily, and Keon Coleman now getting into his bag a little bit and working where he's most comfortable. The Bills wide receivers, outside of some of these injuries, Shakir's so good and so consistent. They're really finding their stride here on day 4 of camp.
Yeah. I feel like day 2 and day 3, Keon Coleman was really, really good for the Bills at training camp. I thought he was dominant today. I thought he was just balling out, making a ton of plays for this team. Is really stepping up, and I have him as high as wide receiver 2. I know you said 1 earlier. The body control has been excellent in terms of knowing his surroundings, where he is near the sideline, getting the 2 feet down or in the end zone. The spatial awareness, the being able to go up and get the ball. I know he had 1 drop a few days ago on a great pass from Allen, but other than that, the hands have been pretty sure too. So really, I think Bills fans should be thrilled with the way Keon Coleman has looked early here at training camp.
Cam Lewis, we talked about him already this week, looked great today in that starting role, really competitive. Interestingly enough, let's transition quickly and talk about, and before we do, let me just mention that you should get to Jamestown, New York right now. Don't waste another weekend. Plan it for this weekend coming up. If you got an off day during the week, it's a quick drive from anywhere in New York State. Head down to the National Comedy Center. All of these exhibits that they got in there, including the one where we actually did a scene from Dumb and Dumber where we were singing the Mock Yeah song. I got a couple of DMs about it and insider texts about it. It is just so much fun. It immerses you in the world of comedy, TV, movies, anything that you kind of want to do, stand-up comedy. It is a great day for the entire family.
Unbelievable time. No jokes here at training camp, but tons of laughs over at Jamestown, New York.
Damn, you're good. I got to say. And I listen, I got Starbucks today. I think this is the first time I got it. I was in a rush. I forgot to order yours.
No worries at all. You had it keeping, cool in your fridge there. Understandable.
I feel like I let you down. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm emotional about it. Can you tell?
I can tell.
All right. I'm going to have another sip though. All right. So let's move right along. We're going to go to Terrell Bernard next. With Terrell Bernard out, the Bills just cannot quit Balon Spector, man. Like they just can't quit him. And he ends up getting the majority of the first team snaps in place of Terrell Bernard today. Joe Andreessen worked in as well. But this was a day where, we saw it a couple of years ago. Remember when Bernard was competing for the starting job? It was Spector, it was Tyrell Dodson, and Balin Spector got some days to be the guy. And I think that's more of what it was. He made the most of it today. Shaq Thompson with a tip pass. Balin Spector intercepts it off of Josh Allen. That's a big time play for Balin Spector. But the injuries are always going to be concerning, right? But from a trust perspective, he knows the system. He's been in it for 3 seasons. He can play the inside. He can play on the outside as well. He can call the defense. He can do all those kinds of things. Were you surprised that he got that run and it wasn't Andreessen on the first day without Terrell Bernard?
Not necessarily. The Bills like to rotate guys, move them in. It wouldn't be a shock tomorrow if it was Andreessen getting the majority of those snaps. It's just something that this team does to kind of get a feel for how these depth players respond when given opportunities. And you mentioned it. He knows the system. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very smart guy. The athleticism, when healthy, is off the charts. His draft coming out years ago profile said runs around like a guy with his hair on fire, can go sideline to sideline. It's just the health factor. And right now he is healthy. He helped make a big play today at practice. So took the most of that opportunity. But I think the Bills are pretty happy with how their depth has been contributing between Andreessen and Balin Spector as well as Shaq Thompson.
I don't have any of the splash plays to throw at you on Michael Hoyt, but I just got to say I'm impressed with the guy.
Yeah.
Very consistent. He is, no matter where he lines up, he is really competitive as a pass rusher. He's affecting plays. Like I feel like guys got to know where, and especially with the younger guys lining up at right tackle in place of Brown in Tylen Grable and Ryan Vandermark. I don't know if Vandermark's necessarily a young guy anymore. He's been in the league plenty of years. They're having challenges with Michael Hoyt. Like he's tough to deal with. He's fast. His pad level is super low. So he's somebody that when we get to the preseason game and they really get to unleash him, I want to see what that looks like because he's looked the part in training camp. I got to say, Javon Solomon today had a rep against Deion Dawkins.
Yeah.
Dude, he got literally clothesline. I mean, RIP to Hulk Hogan. He would have been proud of Deion Dawkins' clothesline on that play because it's one of those things where he's undersized going against Deion Dawkins. I remember Bobby Johnson years ago, former Bills offensive line coach, said, I've been in this league a long time. I played football a long time. I've never seen somebody as strong as Deion Dawkins. And Javon Solomon learned that lesson today.
Yeah, it was a very hacksaw Jim Duggan 3-point stance, clothesline, finished him off on the play. And Solomon's a speed guy, obviously, and Dawkins is power, finesse, athleticism, a little bit of everything. So not a surprise that when those two were matched up, that Dawkins came out on the winning end of things. But for Michael Hoyt, he's popped every single day for me. And it's shown why the Bills almost made him like their top priority in free agency. I don't want to say he was like an unknown player because that's far from the truth, but he was someone that they wanted to get to a 3-year deal, pay a decent chunk of change because of the way they felt he could be moved around on this defensive line and throughout this defense. And he's been fantastic, outstanding thus far.
We're here at St. John Fisher University today. I also wanted to make mention real quick offensively of James Cook, who was running the ball really well, but I also thought one of the premier plays of practice was that sideline catch that he made. Like Allen, the defensive line came to play today, the first team, second team. I mean, Deion Walker, again, I could probably spend a whole segment talking about him again. You are noticing him out there. I don't almost say through 4 days I'm noticing Walker more than I'm noticing Sanders. And that's not necessarily a knock on Sanders. I just think that's how well Walker's been playing consistently. But, he gets pushed out of the pocket. I can't remember who the rushers were. I think all 4 were kind of bearing down on Allen. He gets out to the left, and he finds James Cook on the sideline, who made himself available, but then also got his feet down. I mean, that's going to be a big piece. Like, James Cook wants to be out there on third downs. Like, he wants to be affecting the other team on really important downs when they could trust him to be out there to be a pass blocker, but also his hands. He showed off his hands in that play.
Yeah, that was definitely the highlight of one of the highlights of the practice today. Allen rolling to his left, finding Cook, putting in a position where only Cook could get his feet down inbounds. Picture perfect play on both ends of it. And Cook is another player where he's shown up to camp. He said all the right things. He's going to get a contract, whether it's from Buffalo or elsewhere, and he's going to try to ball out this season. He's been balling out at St. John Fisher University.
All right, that's going to put a bow on it for this episode. If you noticed on the bottom, we have a new Shout Swag online store. So you can head to the link in the description, get over there, buy some Shout Swag, send us a picture of you in your Shout t-shirt, headwear, coffee mug, koozie, whatever you get. We'd really appreciate that. Sign up to become an insider. We're just getting started here at St. John Fisher University. Daily updates from practice, 716-528-6727. Sign up to become an insider. It is only $3.99 a month after that. And it's definitely worth your money. And then August 7th, the last day of training camp, we're going to be at Wingnuts. Dorado at Dorado, Wingnuts is coming out to do a pop-up. I saw AJ Giordano yesterday. He had the pop-up over at the baseball fields at the tournament we're playing. And he said, dude, he's pumped for the August 7th event. He's going to get the whole Wingnuts crew out here. We're going to be doing wings. We're going to be doing all the great food and drinks at Dorado. We're going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be great.
Cannot miss it. Bills fans, rain or shine, will be going live and tons of wings will be cooked.